Hey scholars, so this video is to help us launch our next week of distance learning. We're talking about the Afro-Eurasian Trade Network and the exploration that happened with it. So let's jump right into our May 11th assignment. It says trade routes extend. So scholars, we have already learned about the importance of the Silk Road and how it connected Asia and Europe, which then became known to historians as Eurasia. During the medieval ages, more trade routes developed and extended into Africa as well. Historians then referred to this as the Afro-Eurasian Trade System. These trade routes, more than one, were extremely important because they provided the groundwork for explorers to travel new places around the world. So again, when you open up this document, you need to open this PDF. Click on these three dots and open it in a new window. If you don't do that, you won't be able to answer the questions I have provided for you. So scholars, again, we've already learned how trade connected Asia to Europe through the Silk Road. This was great because it helped benefit the economies of civilizations, and it also helped spread new cultural ideas around the world. Trade continued to be important through the medieval ages, and it even spread to new parts of the world. Europe and Asia first became connected, and it became known as Eurasia, and then Africa started to develop trade routes as Islam spread, and it became linked to Eurasia. Some historians now call that Afro-Eurasia. That's what we're going to refer to it as. You're going to read about how those trade routes spread to new parts of the world during the medieval ages and the impacts that they brought along with them. As you're reading, be thinking about how the world was expanding and opening up new opportunities for exploration, or just like going to new places around the world. Because the rest of the week we will be focusing on the famous explorer named Ibn Battuta. First, we'll need to understand how the development of trade routes allowed him to make such a long journey around the world. So starting tomorrow, May 12th, you're going to be learning about that explorer, Ibn Battuta, and how he went around the world. But first, you need to learn about how he was able to do that. You need to learn about these trade routes. So your task, analyze the map below and consider the importance of the links that were made by trade. So let's just go over this really quick. Remember, China was over here, and the Silk Road was kind of like along this area here. But look at all the other trade routes that kind of started springing up during the medieval times. All right, it's extending far down into Africa, far up into Europe, and this area is super interconnected. All these trade routes are starting to kind of like connect together and make it really easy for people. So why are these trade routes important? Well, if you wanted to travel from like, say, here in the Sahara all the way over to China, you wouldn't have to travel all in one chunk. You could travel here and stop, and then you could travel here and stop, and then you could travel here and stop, and then you could travel here and stop, and along the way you could get the rest and the food that you needed to keep traveling. So keep that in mind as you guys are reading this. These trade routes and the expansion and the development of these trade routes is what made exploring and exploration of new areas even possible. Also, I have provided 5 questions for you to answer in the comments. So as you scroll down, you'll notice, here are the questions. Number 1, why is it significant that divers found goods from China, Persia, the Middle East, and India all on the same shipwreck? Question number 2, why is it important to have multiple trade routes available to civilizations? Question number 3, what was the difficulty of navigating the Indian Ocean trade route? Question number 4, what was the solution for traveling through the harsh desert and why did that work? And number 5, what opportunities were available for people who lived in cities that grew near trade routes? You're answering those 5 questions and then you're pressing the turn in button. Each question is highlighted along where like you should find the answer. So obviously the answer for this one would be in this part. The answer for this question would be in this chunk of text. I'm going to answer question number 2 as a model to kind of help you guys out. So again, it's asking you, why is it important to have multiple trade routes available to civilizations? I'm going to answer that. In complete sentences, again, to get full credit, it is important to have multiple trade routes available to civilizations because it allows people to get the goods they need very quickly and allows, it also allows for an alternate trade option if one trade route becomes compromised. And I think like that's it. I could go on and say multiple trade routes also allow people to travel quickly to new places. So I've really given you 3 reasons that trade routes were important, or having multiple trade routes was important. Number 1, it allows you to get the goods you need very quickly. Number 2, it also allows for an alternate trade route option if one trade route becomes compromised. What do I mean by that? So what if one trade route shuts down because there's a war? You have other options. All right. I'm going to write, it allows people to get the different goods from different places. That's my allergy medicine alarm. So there we go. It allows people to get the different goods from the different places they need very quickly. That's a little bit better. That clarifies more or less why it's important to have multiple trade routes. If I just said it allowed people to get goods they need quickly, that's not really an answer, because just the Silk Road would allow you to do that. You go on the Silk Road, you get the goods you need quickly. But allowing you to get goods you need from different places quickly, you're going to need multiple trade routes for that. So you can use this as your model. You can quote this and put it in your answer. That's totally fine. That's your reward for watching this video and being engaged in the class. But you have 4 other answers, or 4 other questions to answer. So be aware of that. All right. Again, when you are done, please make sure you're going back to this page and pressing turn in. Good luck. And remember, the rest of the week, we're going to be talking about exploration. So as you're working through these trade routes, be thinking, how did this help aid exploration? Good luck, guys. Make sure if you're running into problems, you're joining that Google Meet at 10:30 a.m. or you're emailing Mr. Woods or I for extra help. Thank you.